Welcome in, everyone. I am Jen. I'm a student recruitment officer here at Memorial University St. John's campus, and I will be your moderator for this session. I want to thank the folks over from Music from joining us this evening to give all of our participants a really great view about music. If you've entered the wrong room and you want to go back out, you can do so by the link that I shared in the chat there. And before we get going, I just want to make a few announcements that the general participants will have their mics muted and their videos turned off right off the bat. And this session does focus strictly on the folks over at Music. So try to keep your questions related to music. We'll share a email address that you folks can reach for further questions if we don't get to your questions in this session at the end of the chat. So if we don't get to that, you can just send us an email or send the folks over at Music an email, depending on how they would like to receive that communications. So that is all from me. I'm going to get Danielle and Paige to introduce themselves, a little bit about themselves and what brings them to this session today about the School of Music. So I'll send it off to you, Danielle, first, and then Paige, you can go next, and then you can take it from here.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Virtual Open House with the School of Music. My name is Danielle Hamel. I am the marketing advisor at the School of Music. So I'm accustomed to speaking about the school, and I can't wait to tell you all about what the school has to offer. And also with me is Paige Sargent, who's second year student. You can introduce yourself. Third year.
Yeah. I'm Paige. I'm a third-year vocal performance major here at MUN, and I'm also the treasurer of the MMS, which is the MUN Music Society. So, yeah, I'm here to talk with Danielle and you guys and answer any questions.
That's funny. I remember when you were a first year. Mm,
Feels
okay.
like yesterday.
I know. Okay. So I can start off then by just sharing a bit about the School of Music, just to give everyone an overview. So I'll just share this PowerPoint. Share, start. Okay. It's going. Everyone can see. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to say, why music at Memorial? Why would you choose to study at the School of Music? I would say these are our best selling points right here. Why you should study comprehensive program offerings. We have a lot of programs to offer. I'll go into detail on that in the next slide. World-class faculty. We have literally some of the best faculty in Canada. I mean, one of our faculty members just won a Juno Award for jazz. I mean, how much more acclaimed can you get? We have a close-knit and supportive community. I mean, I'm sure Paige can account to that. How everyone supports each other at the School of Music. That's with students, faculty, and staff. The access to paid professional opportunities, I'll get into that. So you can leave your degree with, things under your belt. It's good to put on your resume. Our facilities, just I'll get into the concert halls and the different study spaces. One thing that we're happy is back now post-COVID is the opportunity to study in the UK. So there's a summer program. You can study in Harlow. And I don't know how many people here are located in Newfoundland, but if you're coming here from outside Newfoundland, you will know that St. John's is a vibrant cultural capital surrounded by, you can leave anywhere and go. You can leave campus and be hiking in 5 minutes. That's not something you can do in big cities. So we'll go into Okay, the different programs we have. We have you can do a Bachelor of Music or a Bachelor of Music slash Bachelor of Commerce. That's the MUBU program is what we've been calling it, but that's it's the joint business and music degree. That one takes 5 years, and at the end of those 5 years, you get both Bachelor of Music, Bachelor of Commerce. If you're interested in our graduate programs, there's a Master of Music, and those have 3 different streams. They have the conducting, instrumental conducting, choral conducting, performance pedagogy. Master of Arts, that's in our ethnomusicology program, and our PhD, you can get a PhD in ethnomusicology. Okay. Or our undergraduate, so if you're doing an undergraduate degree with us, what can you study? One thing I think is a selling point for the School of Music is that you actually don't choose it in your first year. You wait until your 3rd year, or I guess the end of your 2nd year. So as you're entering your 3rd year, and Paige, you would know this, that you choose your major, so you don't have to choose right away. And it does give you time to try a few courses and see what interests you, because maybe it's something that you didn't know wasn't even on your radar. Like you take your first musicology course and you're hooked, or you take the intro to composition course and you're like, I need to do this. So you can choose for majors, performance, musicologies, composition. You can do a minor in jazz studies and you can combine that with a major in performance. People who want to go on and do music education, they tend to take a major in comprehensive studies, or you can just do general music studies. So those are a lot of options. We're going to talk about our faculty. So this is a picture of a student with Professor Tim Steeves and Dr. Christina Suter. He was retired, but she's back this year. She's teaching piano. So like I said, we have internationally celebrated artists and scholars. I mean, a lot of them, anytime they're not teaching, they are touring. So they're around the world, Germany, West Coast Canada, everywhere. So dedicated educators, the majority of faculty hold permanent full-time appointments, so they're always available and like invested in your education. Community. This is a photo from last year. It's Gregory O's concert. It was a fantastic concert, and the students performed. It was a very challenging piece of music, and this is everybody post performance. So happy. So we are not too big, we're not too small. We have 150 undergrad students, 55 graduate students. That's broken up, 25 MUs, 30 master's PhD, 20 permanent full-time faculty, 5 permanent half-time faculty, 10 per course instructors, 9 of the core staff, which includes me, 2 full-time library staff. So the student ratio 1:4, which you really feel that. If you go to a bigger school, you'll notice the difference so you're not just a number at the School of Music. This is a lovely photo from the Mon Music Society's Instagram page. And if you want to know what the community is like, I would suggest you go visit the Mon Music Society's Instagram or TikTok, because they are they are so entertaining. I love their content. So what are we about? Trust, transparency, inclusivity, collaboration, excellence, integrity, resilience. Those are all words that come to mind when I think about the community here at the School of Music. Opportunities. This is an opera roadshow, opera production. So I would talk about then just quickly going through, I'm going to keep an eye on the time, quickly going through the kind of opportunities we have here. The Opera Roadshow, that is our students, the voice students, they get to put off every year, every semester they put off a whole production, but every 2 years or so, or is it every year now? See, COVID broke up a lot of the I think every 2 years, because next year you're doing the big orchestra production.
I think we are doing Opera Roadshow this year again as well. I think
Oh
so.
my gosh. Okay. Exciting. So last year they got the students got to travel all the way. They took the show on the road, literally, and they were traveling to 10 to 15 different elementary schools all the way up to Labrador. So they all piled on the plane and really got to have that touring experience. And that's like such an opportunity. They had such a blast, and obviously all the students loved it. That watched them and were enthralled by these opera singers coming to their school. The Newfoundland Symphony Orchestra, we have an orchestral chair. We have just an agreement that they actually hold space for MUN students to, be on the strings or, trumpets, that sort. So you get to play in a professional orchestra if you're selected to be part of this program. On-campus employment, we have a lot of student assistants who help us out with every show that comes through. Everything, if there's something happening at the School of Music, there are students working behind the scenes making it happen. That's whether it's piano recitals or, even we had the Remembrance Day ceremony. Was it yesterday? Like there's students behind the scene getting paid, making it happen, getting great experience there. You can on campus. I hire every term a social media coordinator to help me with my work. There's lots of employment opportunities like that. We have relationships with all these other local organizations in the community, like the Tuckamore Festival, Music Opera in the Avalon. They come to us all the time looking for students, or they want to hire our students because they need they need people with these type of skills. So we are in the community. Our facilities, okay. You want to find out what you're getting into when you're studying at the School of Music. We have two halls. We have the Suncor Energy Hall, which seats about 100, and the D.F. Cook Recital Hall, which seats about 300. So that's the bigger space. Suncor Energy Hall is a lot more intimate feeling. We just got a brand new piano in our D.F. Cook Recital Hall, which is very, very exciting, about a month ago. That was through an anonymous donation. And Memorial Electroacoustic Research Lab. So if you're doing our composition program, you'll be very accustomed with this this setup. That's where you'll find computer software and the tools to make like interesting electronic music or just your regular composition music. It is the home of the Tabula Rasa. They're having a drop-in actually on Friday to find out more about it's a student-run electronic music ensemble. So this is also the home of that ensemble. Okay, international study. Again, the last time this program was held was 2019, I believe. And then this past year, the students got to study once again in Harlow. It was such an exciting. You can go on our Instagram or our YouTube channel or our TikTok, and you can follow every day. One of the students, Erin Lee, did a beautiful day by day. Erin Lee's in the front there in the red. She did such a great job documenting the whole trip, so you can see the kinds of experiences they had. Going every day. They were going somewhere. They were taking in performances. They were, studying with the musicians over there. It's fantastic. And again, I'm not sure how many people here are from the area, but St. John's is such a vibrant capital. It is a selling point for why you would come here. Like I said, there's always something to do. There's theater. There's opera. There's just the nightlife downtown. It doesn't feel like a small. I've been to bigger cities that feel smaller just because it's not a hub, and St. John's is definitely a cultural hub. Yeah, stay in touch. You can follow us in all these places. You can follow our dean there. And honestly, that's all I had. Paige, I think, if you want to speak to what it's like as being a student.
Yeah, I totally can. So yeah, like I said, I'm a third year, and I gotta say, like I was thinking about some like different schools, but I'm really glad that I chose MUN because, like Danielle was saying, like the first of all, the facilities are awesome. Like right now I'm in a practice room. We have a bunch of practice rooms. I'm just in a practice room because the Wi-Fi is really good here too. So, but yeah, always practice rooms available for the most part, unless it's 12 o'clock in at lunchtime. And the faculty is just so amazing. Like, I really think that I could go up to most all the faculty and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me out with it? And they definitely would, because they're all just so friendly and really, really genuinely care about who you are as people. And just the community, like we have in our practice hallway, we have a lounge, and like it's such a great place to go and just meet people, and like everyone really is here to support you. And I can't speak enough about the community here and just how amazing it is. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has any like questions or anything, or
Yeah, I can monitor the chat there for you. If any questions come in, I'll read them out for you. But if you folks are clued up on the presentation part, I'll monitor the chat, ask you questions as they come in. And for the folks in the participant side, if you're looking to ask questions, the chat feature and the Q&A features are both there at the bottom. And I can read them out to our two reps and panelists here. But in the meantime, I am curious to know from you, Paige, what did you find that was like the most helpful thing so far within music to foster your success thus far?
I think definitely like take advantage of the fact that your professors want to help you, because like they all have office hours. I think really it really is helpful to go to those office hours if you're struggling with course material. Go and figure it out and kind of get on top of it before you kind of get confused and lost in the shuffle of due dates and things. But yeah, because they all really do want to help, and they all have really great office hours. I've been to quite a few office hours in my day.
That's awesome. I feel like every time I talk with you folks over at music, regardless of what setting it's in, whether it's a panel like this. I've done this one. I've done the music session a couple times previously, but I feel like every time I'm talking with anyone from over in music, it doesn't matter who, faculty, student, staff, whoever. Um, I have no musical talent whatsoever. I think the last time I played a musical instrument was like maybe grade 4. It was a recorder, but you always talk me into having regretted not ever doing music, despite the fact that I am not particularly interested in music myself. But just like the fact that you guys are so passionate about what you're doing and have such a great community, that I'm just like, man, that sounds like something I would love, but it's it's not something I would be ever into. But you almost sell it to me every time. I'm like, this seems great. Can I come? Like, can I come over too, guys?
You should come on over.
Yeah, I'll just come
Yeah.
over, hang out. It's fine.
Yeah, I said that's such an ongoing thing. Asking what do you wish you knew in first year? And it was like, talk to the professors, don't be afraid. They're not scary. They're approachable. They're so approachable.
Yeah, I think everyone that I've talked to is literally the most personable people I've ever met, and or like really gung ho to tell me about all the great things about music, regardless of who they are. And I'm just like, I have heard this seems great. Like you have me. You've got me. I just don't know what I'm doing. Um, um, I guess another thing that might be good would be how do you get in touch with your advisors, I guess, in advance? Like when is a good time to touch base with folks over at music, like time frame wise? Like earlier the better, like even when you have like a little like thought about doing music, or is it something that maybe like comes a little bit later?
Oh, I think there's so many ways to get involved early, even early on, because I mean, even this past weekend we had an orchestra fest weekend. If anyone heard about that, if you're in town, that was just such a way to get involved and meet people within the School of Music, our own musicians from the Mon Chamber Orchestra involved. So there are ways to get involved before you apply, for sure. And so how to get in contact, I would email music@mon.ca, and you will get Annie Corrigan, who is the most amazing person who will guide you through the entire process and go over and above. Uh, you, Paige, you know, Annie is the Annie is the best.
Annie knows all. And Annie is a great person to, if you do want to get involved like before applying or anything, like I feel like Annie knows everything and Annie knows to point you in the right direction if you want to get involved.
I
Yes.
shared that email over in the chat there if anybody wants to pick it up. Oftentimes on my side of things, when I get questions about music, it's usually I don't say some level of anxiety, but just like a general air of like, what do I expect from my audition? Paige, can you speak to what maybe your experiences was, or anybody who might know who was maybe a little bit like had a bit of a nervousness about going into that and like how you prepared for it?
Yeah. So I was actually a COVID auditionee, but I have been volunteers at the last 2 years of auditions. So I've helped people go into their auditions and stood outside and signed people in. And I gotta say, like, it is definitely intimidating because you're going into a space you've never performed in before, going to perform in front of these people you don't know, but really, like, they all want you to succeed. And I think that's kind of what I tell myself even when I go into um my juries, which is like your final exam for music. It's like your rep for your professors. And but I just tell myself like they want me to do well, so I'm going to go and show them that I can do well. And also if any of you guys are auditioning this year, like there'll be a bunch of friendly faces outside cheering you on like when you walk in and then when you walk out, like we're going to be there like, "Yes, you're going to do so well." And then when you come out, we're going to, "You did so well." It's cuz it's so like it's such a positive experience, but it's really nerve-wracking going into it, but it is a really fun experience.
That was it. I
That's awesome.
remember I remember last year, was it Rianne who was putting little notes everywhere of like, you got this. Was it yeah, I just remember the notes. Yeah, I remember her going around little post-its.
We do have someone in chat who is wondering, are instruments I can play, are there instruments that I can play besides the one I'm auditioning or using for applying?
Once you get into the program, you mean?
I believe
There's
so, yes.
yeah, I've seen people who have gotten into the program on trombone and now they're playing euphonium and wind ensemble. So yeah, I mean you can speak to other students you've seen.
Yeah, well, like I was just gonna say as well, like if you are planning on, well, I know there's a first year here now. She's a piano performance major, but she's in wind ensemble for trombone, and like there's lots of comprehensive majors who are, taking like string technique for like with violin. And you can and really like you can get involved with orchestra, you can get involved in like any of the instruments that you're not playing. I think you just need to audition and to like join those ensembles and but you can absolutely do that. Like I was actually just talking to Annie the other day. I think I might see if I can join wind ensemble next semester on euphonium, and I'm a voice major, so
Awesome. And I guess on the other side of the road, maybe Danielle, you can answer the like admission side. What is considered when music is making admission decisions based on the applicant, based on the audition?
Yeah, I have information about that. What's considered first, you do have to get into university, like you have to be accepted into the general Memorial University program. So all those apply, and then admission into the School of Music is competitive. So you're placed, I guess, in order, and the admission decisions are made with they take into account the audition, your academic performance, your theory assessment, I guess lesser, and your personal intent statement. Those are and decisions being sent out on a rolling basis for the uh, so you'll hear right away if it's a really strong audition, and it there's still, if you don't hear right away, it doesn't mean that you haven't. I would say that.
So in the event that somebody doesn't get in upon their first application, what would you recommend a student doing within like maybe their first year of studies within general to maybe set themselves up, or maybe if they decide to rebrand and not necessarily pursue a Bachelor of Music, is there some way that they can still integrate themselves into the music community at Mon?
Absolutely. You can, there are courses that you can take as a non-music major, and then if you've reapplied, they'll count towards your degree. That's certainly how I did a music degree. I did not get in on the first year. I did that. I took the first year history, I took the first year theory, and I applied the next year and I got in. So that's definitely possible. If you decide not to do anything in music, a lot of these ensembles are open to anyone in the community. So that means anyone at MUN, if you're a science major, you can take, I think festival choir is the only one that's not an audition, but the other ones, you do have to audition, and they're always looking for players. So
That's great. And I guess on that, I guess on the side of like I get a little bit of admissions and program like exploring programs and whatnot. If somebody's looking at the joint business music degree, can you outline the process of applying into that joint program? Like, do you have to get into music first? Can you go into business first and then try music later? What does that look like?
I'm going to make sure I look that up on the thing, make sure I characterize that properly, because there is a process. Yeah, application. It is. I'm looking at our own website now. See, if Annie was here, she would know this right off the I'm because I would say it might be best if you had a specific question on that, uh, that would be an email. Yeah.
Perfect.
There is, yeah, let's say that.
I've definitely had a couple students ask me that one in actually the recent weeks out around Newfoundland. I've had two students recently ask me about the joint music business. So
It's a very popular program. I would say, I don't know, 50%. So many of the, especially the first and second years right now, are in that program.
awesome. I mean, at the very least, if um, outside of admissions, I guess what are the benefits of like one or the other, or I guess just the insight of like what the business, how the business would help within the realm of music.
I have an idea. I would, when you are a musician, if you are, you go on and do performance after, you are your own business. That is that you need to have a business sense. You're marketing yourself in today's world. So, the sense, the marketing sense, the business sense is, so it'll give you an edge. Uh, yeah, and then if you continue on in business, having that creative side and having those creative thinking skills, and thinking outside the box skills, being able to work as a team, because that's what playing music is, working with a group of people and solving problems and seeing a project from beginning to end. Those skills you'll be able to apply to business. It's win-win.
I mean, who doesn't want to have 2 degrees in
I know.
5 years instead of 8, right? This sounds like a solid plan to me. Um, all right, on your side of the road, Paige, um, if you were to do something a little bit differently within your first year, what would you have done? Like what kind of thing, like what kinds of supports and services maybe would you have availed of, or what kind of questions would you have asked of folks over at music, or even just across the university?
I think that in first year, I was very intimidated just because like I don't know, I was intimidated of like the lounge, which is where we all like where everyone hangs out. And I think that really I would have gone back and went in the lounge and like met people sooner, because I'd say in my first semester I was kind of kept to myself, and then I realized like, hold on, I want to meet people. And the minute you kind of open yourself up to that opportunity, it's so easy to make friends and meet people. So I think I would go back and do that. And I think I would also try to avail of the opportunities in St. John's earlier, because there is a lot happening in the music scene in St. John's. And I think I was also kind of nervous to go and look into that, but I definitely would, if I had my time back, get involved earlier.
Great points. Great points.
I would say people involved, say like the Elf musical is playing at 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 the Arts and Culture Center next weekend, and there's so many music students in the Elf musical that we've had to figure out when are we going to have the choir concert so they can still go to rehearsal. It's just such a crossover. You're so involved. The students they're doing everything.
That's pretty cool. And I think that kind of jumps in off of the point of where do you see, I guess, oftentimes graduates go after finishing music? Do they go on to like grad programs? Maybe do they go on to do second undergrad programs? Maybe like, I don't know, med school or performance routes? Like what do we see most often, or a trend maybe, or just some highlighting a few students who you might have seen graduate recently?
All of those, I say all of those things I've interviewed in the past few years, students who've gone to med school, and you know that's where they're using this as such a solid ground. Because I think one big part about being in med school is you need to be able to work with people. You need to be personable, so people take that. Take like they love music students for that over there. Law, yeah, one Michael O'Keefe comes to mind as somebody who's now doing public policy and was a Rhodes Scholar. Uh, now that's what he's pursuing. For voice students, I mean, some voice students they're doing their opera career. I'm thinking of Duncan Stenhouse, who's just made like the third place in the Canadian Opera Company. He graduated just a few years ago. Brandon Olson is also competing tonight for a spot in the Opera de Montreal. That's a recent grad. People are doing technician like engineering job. Michelle Leclerc being a local, Steve Lilly being a local person they went off to do grad degrees elsewhere, but as a stepping stone to get into, yeah, teaching. I mean, so many people, I would say a lot of people do go to do the music education as a second degree program. That's a 1-year program, and then you can become a music teacher in the public school system. That's a popular choice. Yeah.
Also neat. Yeah, I often hear from students who have their sights on music and then med school. That's actually that's specifically why I asked that in that way is
Yeah.
I find that a lot of folks who are very motivated at looking at music specifically tend to also be looking beyond music and into either like a career or another program like in the distance, right? Not everyone obviously, but a lot of folks who are coming from that lens seem to have that like level of confidence and like assuredness. I guess that probably bodes well into those types of careers that need to have those personable aspects or I guess like um, uh, self-presentation in some capacity of like confidence and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Paige, how do you find the balance between courses and practice and I guess just like the rest of your life all at once? Because you're not just a student, you can be like a whole person. But like how do you how do you manage that like equation?
Yeah, I think that it definitely takes some like getting used to, but I don't think that's a music specific thing. I think that's a university specific thing of balancing course load and having a life outside of university. I think that yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, but I think that it's a lesson that like you definitely get the hang of as you go along. And I think that my personal remedy per se when I was in my first year and just like I was like I cannot study anymore. I need to do something fun. Was just like scheduling out my study time. Like, okay, I'm going to study for an hour today and then I'm going to have 2 hours of whatever I want to do. And just making sure that you schedule in that study time, but also schedule in that fun time and schedule in that time with your friends and that time to like go to so and so's house and have a board game night just so that you can have your, have your cake and eat it too, I think is what people say. Yeah.
Fair enough. I guess this one can kind of go in between both of you. I guess from two different perspectives. But what do you hope that students experience within their first year? Like, what are things that you would recommend based on what you have done in your own experience to shut out?
Sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Like, is there anything that you hope that students would do that you have done that you would encourage students to do? I guess from the two different perspectives. So Paige, if you want to go first, and then Danielle, you can counter.
Yeah, I think that definitely go to concerts. Like go to a lot of concerts and well in the music program as well, we need to it's a part of credit to go to 8 concerts throughout the 2 semesters of like the year, but go to concerts anyway because it's really awesome to absorb first of all your peers performing and the music professionals around town, and it's really amazing. And yeah, definitely. Well, like I was saying, like I feel like I'm preaching, like get involved, but really get involved because it is really fun. And yeah, as well, maybe take up the resources in the music library because there is a lot of resources in the music library as well that are super helpful to rely on.
Love it.
I think I can add to that. I would say definitely it's the same thing as get involved. It is start, talking to people early. I think about, and this is even thinking about what I wish I did in my first year, because the people that you meet become your network when you leave, and that is who you depend on for wherever they're going out in the world, having people that in different parts of the country and being able to lean on them is so key. So it would be, it's not only meeting faculty, it's meeting your peers, and they're going to be your strongest asset.
Yeah, without a doubt, like connections and experience is huge, especially in the building community, but also after that graduation. And um, just like sometimes you just want to go visit a certain place and you just need a bed to crash on. You're like, hey, maybe I met someone and we're good friends now and I can go hang out with them, right? Like, heck, why not?
Hmm.
Um, Paige, what would you say that on a day-to-day basis, like what does your schedule look like? I know that, day-to-day courses can look a little bit different, but you don't have to be super granular, but what do you see in a day, I guess?
Yeah, well, so it's really interesting with music school because it's pretty for the first at least 2 years, most everyone in your class is gonna have around the same courses, and then you start to break up as like your interests differ, which is really cool. But so I have, my theory course in the morning and then musicology was like a history course, which those are always really cool. And in the day, you do a lot of practicing, or you should do a lot of practicing and then you have your coachings with your professors and your lessons, and that's a really great time to have just one-on-one time with your professor where you're really hammering out your rep, and it's a really awesome resource as well to have that one-on-one time. And then well, I'm also involved in the opera this year. So I have twice a week two big long sessions of rehearsal where we're going through the opera. And so I really get to and it's fun because you get to interact with a lot of different people in a lot of different years because the people in your ensembles are not all going to be in your year, and even the people in some of your music electives are not going to be in your year. So you get to interact with a bunch of different people that you might not always with your kind of core courses like your music and your history. So it's really cool that the differences you get in your day.
Now I need to know what was one of your favorite electives then? Like if outside of the music world, like if we're talking courses outside of music, how has that like worked really well in conjunction with music to give you like a good perspective or something?
Yeah, well, so in like right now in my third year, I don't have any courses outside of the music building, but in my first 2 years I did. And I really liked as a voice major, you do have to take French, German, and Italian because we sing in other languages all the time, and I loved my German course. I thought it was so much fun because we learned so much about the culture of Germany along with the language, and I loved it so much. And like also like I took a bunch of philosophy courses that I loved as well. And the science building is literally right there. So we have a tunnel that connects to the science building, and all my courses were in the science building if they weren't in the music building.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you made your way too far out of the general area of the music building. And I guess
No,
that's
not too
one particular perk of music is that you folks kind of have a your own very dedicated space, right?
It's true.
How has even just having that space been helpful, I guess? And like I guess it probably I would assume like maybe fostering community and you don't have to walk as far. I don't know.
Definitely. I think that like because you're not so spread out. And like yeah, especially like I said, like now I never have to leave the music building. I which I actually really enjoy because like you can we have, you know, we have a fridge, we have a microwave, you can put your food in the lounge and then it's really everyone is in the same space, so you are going to interact with everyone. And I think that definitely adds to the tight knit community of the music school. But also, we do have lots of spaces that, like, if you want to go and you don't want to be with people, you don't need to be with people because we do have other spaces that you can go have a chill moment by yourself, sit at a table by yourself. And yeah, I really love the space here. It's also just a beautiful building.
That's grand. I feel like a lot of my classes I ended up at one side of the building or at one side of the campus and then had to like run to the other, I guess. So you probably could schedule classes a little bit closer together if you're not running across campus to get there.
Yeah,
I imagine that's fairly handy.
for
Maybe
sure.
not so much if you're a track star, I guess, if you like running across campus, I
Sure.
guess. Um, uh, I guess this my next question kind of like verges into this. If all of your courses don't necessarily have to be within music, how do you even go about like choosing what works? Is like, should you meet with an advisor? Is that something that would be handy, or do you just like talk to your friends and that's how you choose your electives?
Well, sorry. Like, I think for me personally, as like a student, well, I actually do have an interest in law as well. So I have definitely some stuff on my roster that I'm trying to like get some law background as well, and really just talking to an advisor. But even still, Annie's really great because she's the academic advisor here at the music school as well, and Annie's awesome because she'll send you literally a PDF with all the courses that you need to take to graduate, and then like there'll be like a big long list of just like X's, so like you can just choose whatever you want to fill in those spaces. So so that's what I do. I look at my PDF that like she sent me like last year and I go, "Okay, I have all these, so I can put whatever I want in these few slots." And that's what I do.
I mean, that's very efficient.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna
are
say
coming.
talk to Annie. She
It's
advises all the undergrad students. She knows, how to get you to graduate on time.
shout out to Annie, it seems.
Yeah.
So it is coming up a little bit closer to the end. So I'm just gonna let the folks in the crowd know that if you have any last minute questions that you want to ask to these lovely folks, you have a few more minutes to do so and get those in before we clue up. But I just wanted to draw that to everyone's attention that we won't be here all night. But if you do have a burning question that you want to ask right now, just throw them down there in the chat. But of course, we have that email for music@mun.ca there for you as well in the event that we don't get to them before the end. Uh, Now, I guess, hmm, let's see if there's one thing that inspires me in particular. I guess I guess this is for Paige. What kind of performance opportunities have, and say really motivated you to do something that you weren't expecting, I guess? Like, was there a one particular moment that you're like an aha moment, like this is it, this is what I meant to do, this is what I want to be doing, or ones that even like as a process of elimination, like, oh, that's not what I'm into.
Like, well, specifically for performance or
I mean, you can respond to it as a performance, but if you want to go verge into another area that's given you an aha moment or not.
Yeah, well, I personally have known that I've wanted to major in performance for a very long time. I think that something that was an aha that I was like, I shouldn't do composition was I don't have the most natural theory brain. Like music theory doesn't come to me very easy. I have to work very hard to get good grades in it. So I think that I was like, that was an indicator for me that maybe I shouldn't do composition. But also, you can do composition if you're not good at theory, but I think it definitely helps to be good at theory to do composition. But I think as well, like just some of the aha moments was like performing in we have to do a voice area recital every 2 times. At least voice performance majors need to do 2 voice area recitals a semester, which is like just a little tiny afternoon recital where we all sing for each other. And it just was like so amazing watching your peers and just like how awesome they are and being like, man, I can't believe that like I'm here doing this with them. Like, because you just see these people that are especially like the master students or like the fourth years that are up like higher years than you just see how amazing they are and you're like, I can't believe I'm here with them. And like we're singing together and it's just so amazing. And like also just being involved with the opera and like because the opera is always so much fun and like I cannot wait because we're gonna start after Christmas singing with the orchestra and that's gonna be so much fun.
We're as you said, like within other students being around, I'm assuming based on that you've said that graduate students are often like readily available and still folks. It's not like there's like a skill gap there. It's more of like a everybody kind of works together vibe.
Absolutely. Like, so in my, so all, depending on what instrument you are, everyone has their own studio. And so in your studio, if you're a clarinet major, for the most part, all the clarinet majors are in one studio. All the voice majors are split into 4, but for the most part, all instruments are in their own. And like in my studio right now, my voice studio, there are 3 grad students. So I constantly am talking to these 3 grad students. And I'm like, hey, I'm having struggles with this. What do you guys do when you guys struggle with it, like back in the day? What do you, and so they're very readily available to get advice from, which is awesome.
Ah, yes, back in the day, a few years ago.
Yeah.
But for the folks in the crowd, what is a studio, just like from your perspective?
So a studio is essentially like a group of people that you all have the same professor. And so my professor is Dr. Schiller, and there are 10 of us in her studio. So like 10 of us are her students, and we all get private lessons from her. And that's our main professor for our instrument. And so then once a week as well, you have a master class, which is essentially where you go and you perform in front of your studio. So all of the students from your professor, and then your professor will give you advice in front of all the rest of the students. And that may sound really scary, but it's very helpful because you get to learn from each other. And also, like, all the professors know that it's very nerve-wracking being criticized in front of your peers. So they're never like, you suck. They're always like, that was awesome. Let's talk about what you can do better. And it's a really great learning experience. And it's also one of my favorite parts about music school.
And Danielle, I saw you unmute there for a quick second. Was there something you wanted to jump in on that?
Paige's story reminded me of an interview I just listened to with the alumna Zoe Valet, who's performing over at London's West End doing what's the opera? I should know.
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera. And
Yeah.
her interview was saying like, how hard is it to perform? Like I did it twice a week. my whole undergrad. It was, you know, it was nothing. That's how it prepared her for her nerves. It just reminds me of that.
That's really cool. All right, so I think we're down to the wire here. So I'll give both of you folks a moment to just I'm gonna say summarize, or from like your point of view, give any last tidbits of information that you feel like needs to be out in the world and students need to know about it before we duck out. So if Paige, do you want to start with your concluding remarks, words of wisdom, whatever you need them to know?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say like, yeah, like if you're gonna audition, have fun. And you'll probably see me there because I always volunteer. So if you are feeling nervous, come up, say hi to me, or even like message the Mun Music Society Instagram. I run the Instagram. So if you have any questions, shoot me a message. And yeah, or look me up on Instagram. I'm also there too. I'm happy to answer any questions. And it's really like, it's so intimidating, and I know it is. And there's nothing that can really get you to be like, okay, it's not intimidating, it's not scary, but we're all here for you. And I know that that's hard to like think about, but we really are. So yeah. And I hope to see you guys at the music school.
I love the have more fun mantra. That's often what I say with folks who have like even like med school on the sites. It's like you'll do the best when you're having the most fun. So if you're like, setting yourself up for success early by just, having great experiences and having fun, at the very least you had a positive experience no matter what, because you're winning. You had fun. Danielle, anything from your side?
I would say we do have upcoming ways that you can ask more questions. So we're hosting a student office hour. It's a new thing we're trying on November 21st, 7:30 Newfoundland time. You can check back on our mun.ca/music. There's a future students section. So if you go to our the music site, here, look. I'll share it in the chat.
Yeah, link us.
I keep this section updated with, it's the Connect with Us section. Okay, here we go. Here. So you can see the upcoming things that we have for future students. So the Mun Music Society is helping us have the student office hour where you can ask questions, just the students talking to students. So we're kind of like helping facilitate these questions that, you might have, that you'll feel comfortable asking a student. There's also an audition as you get closer to, we have an audition Q&A session, and that is November 29th, also 7:30. So if you're getting closer to a date and you realize you have more questions, you can tune in then.
Sounds awesome. Thank you. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and of course thank Paige and Danielle here for joining us and sharing all of this really awesome information about the School of Music. Both of you answered the questions fantastically, and some of my questions are pretty tricky, so I think you both did an awesome job. And for the folks in the crowd, I'm just gonna shout out that we do have one final night of the open house coming up tomorrow. And for that third and final night of the virtual open house, we'll kick it off with a student panel discussion, followed by concurrent sessions between education, the Faculty of Education, Academic Advising, and Career Development, as well as the School of Pharmacy. And then after that, we'll have some sessions and representatives from humanities and social sciences, nursing, and social work chatting with us, much like we did here tonight with music. So with that being said, the links to all the things that we shared are in the chat. Email music@mun.ca for questions for the lovely folks over at Music, and you'll be able to chat with with Annie, who is the advisor that we've been shouting out all evening. And if you have any questions for us over on the recruitment side, we can be reached at admissions@mun.ca for any questions about applying, submitting your application, tours, early steps, that kind of stuff. We can get you going in the right direction. And if we don't know your answer, we'll find somebody that does. And I think that's my whole mantra for this whole evening. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for coming, and good night, all.